Hey guys, Goes Green on 90 Studios here. Now, for those of you who don't know, about 2 months ago I made an update asking where should I honestly go from here with my Ninjago series, as I'm still further delaying my first episode by almost 2 years now, and with every other season, every other custom series going on the market right now, continuing along with the times and continuing to do a brand new stop motion series as the show progresses for the storyline. After much needed thinking, I finally have come to a decision, and my decision is that while yes, I am going to be doing my own little timeline for my series, I'm not actually going to be going off from the first season and then working my way up. I'm going to be doing my own custom season, yes, but I'm going to be basing it off of my own ideas and my own concepts. So first things first, we should probably start at the basic notes for season 1, and then move the way upwards to all of the events leading up to the season where I want to start. So let's go ahead and get right into that.
Season 1 would basically just be season 1 from the show, except minus all of the filler, and more on developing the characters more often. You see, for my version of the characters, Cole grew up without really knowing his real parents, so therefore he wouldn't really know that he's an Earth Elemental until much later on in the series. Zane just wanting to find inner peace and basically solitude. Jay growing up trying to protect his mother because his mother is very overprotective and very much broken down to a mental state. So therefore his mind is going to different places. So in short, Jay is actually autistic in my version, so that's why he's always spewing quips and overthinking things, because overall he's just trying to do what's best for everybody else. And for Kai, I'm going to make him a troubled foster boy who can't seem to find himself in the right family. His blood sister, however, though, finding the perfect spot, studying abroad, so on and so forth. Also, for my version, Ninjago won't be created by the 4 golden weapons. Instead, it will be created by the realm crystal, and the 4 golden weapons would actually be made from a separate weapon known as the Blade of Life, a weapon that can create and take away life itself. The series itself would basically just be the same, Lloyd becoming the Green Ninja. However, instead of Lloyd being a little kid, he's the same age as everybody else, so that way there's no timey-wimey confusing stuff that was in the first season. But also to note is that there is also going to be a cultist group known as Garmadon's Shadow, and basically they're going to be the Sons of Garmadon for my series, saying that Garmadon will be the gospel that will save the universe. And also, while this season is taking quotes from Season 1, it will also be combining both Season 1 and Season 2, because when Garmadon is fully released and wanting to start the Doomsday Clock again, he's basically going to turn his followers into the Stone Army. And there's going to be a recurring character throughout the series by the name of Kaze. Kaze being the main leader, but ultimately seeing the error of his ways, retaliating against Garmadon, but ultimately growing mad when he realizes that there is no way to actually save the universe unless it's actually destroyed. So he's one of those villains that starts off as a villain, then turns into an anti-hero, then goes insane. And he will be in my series as well for the direction I'm going as well, so don't worry about that. But yeah, other than that though, it's just taking cues from the first 2 seasons and then just combining them together to make my own version. Season 2 of my series would be Rebooted, and it will be lightly taking notes from Rebooted, because Rebooted, for its many flaws, while it is a good season, it's very convoluted and very all over the place. So for Rebooted, it will take place a couple years, I want to say 2, maybe 3 years after the initial events of Season 1, where the ninja finally regroup and basically just reminisce about old times until Cyrus Borg, the current man of the hour at the time, requests the ninja meet him at his tower. When the ninja show up, Cyrus Borg wants to create a partnership where the ninja actually do become allies of the police force, so on and so forth. While Cole is pessimistic about the idea, on the way out, he runs into Cyrus and says, "Protect the blades, stop him at all costs, reboot the system." On the way out, they're attacked by ninjroids and mechs, and on their way back home, they go into the monastery walls and they begin to question what the hell are they going to do. At this point in time, Lloyd also comes back as well, but with a brand new suit, saying that Cyrus Borg has reached out to him saying that technology is starting to attack us all. And the only reason why that is because the Overlord is back. Now, in my first season, there is going to be the final battle, but not in the way that you think. And basically, the crater that was created from the last climax was built underneath Borg, is actually underneath Borg Tower. So therefore, small fragments of the armor that was the Overlord, or the Overlord's body at least, false body, were actually left over, and therefore it's actually seeping in, therefore possessing the building. So instead of the Overlord becoming one with technology, the Overlord has actually possessed the entire tower itself. And therefore, when he becomes Overborg or Cyborg, he's basically possessed Cyrus Borg's body, but with technology enhancements. Anyway, so the ninjas' first move is to shut off the power to the whole city, and when they do so, they retreat out of Ninjago into the next city over. And in my version of Rebooted, there will be the Phantom Ninja. I do want to have Salil in there as well, and instead of there being a love triangle between Cole, Jay, and Nia, Cole and Salil at first start off as a love-hate relationship until fully hitting it off in the park when they decide to return to the city. And the only reason that they do return to the city is because some leftover cultists from last season actually do find Lloyd, they capture him, beat him to a pulp, and then carry him back to Overborg Tower, turning back on the power to drain Lloyd of all of his energy in order to create a brand new body for him. The ninjas' next move is to go to the one man where they thought they never could, this being Lord Garmadon. In my version of the first season, since it's taking notes from both the final battle and the Rise of the Snakes, Garmadon never really gotten every single ounce of evil out of him. In my version, he still stays the same, but this time around, since he hasn't been fighting and is rather becoming a working man, his blood doesn't boil as hard as it used to be. But when he finds out that Lloyd has been kidnapped, his blood starts to boil again, as he tries his best to fight it off for the time being, saying that he'll only help to save his son, but when he does save his son, there's no telling what will happen. He won't know if he kills him, or he won't know if he tries to fight him. And after that, everything just plays out the same. The ninja regroup, the ninja fight off a bunch of ninjroids, and Zane makes the ultimate sacrifice. And for this season, I originally did have a movie planned, simply titled Dawn of the 21st Century, because this is basically the blackout, this is the brand new start. And basically when that happens, everything goes back to normal. Most of the ninjroids have been destroyed, except for General Cryptor, who has been reprogrammed to become good. Also, side note, in my series as well, there was going to be a body swapping plot for Cole and Cryptor, because before they shut off the power, Cole and Cryptor switch bodies for about 2 episodes before they ultimately shut off the power, causing the body swap to cancel out. And I'll get more elaborate on that later, because that is a key plot point in my next season. But yeah, after all that though, the ninja decide to disband once more, going to different parts of the world.
The third season of my series would be titled Armageddon, and basically it will be the Tournament of Elements aspect of it. However, the series would start a couple more years past with everyone out doing their own thing. Jay adopting a superhero-based persona, basically fighting as the Blue Shadow, and often running into Samurai X, aka Nia, on the streets. Kai becoming a police officer and being one of the best hotshot cops the city had to offer, and Cole being on the other side of the world, becoming a lumberman. Lloyd deciding that enough was enough, and that their mourning period was far from past, he sends out an invitation for all of the ninja to return, with all 3 of them not really wanting to be together in the same room, because even being in the same
area that Zane used to be in was too heartbreaking. Lloyd saying that it was time for us to stop feeling sorry for ourselves and get back on our feet. At this point in time, Garmadon, now fully recovered from the last season, now, before I continue on with the Garmadon plot, for my version of the series, Garmadon will take a long while for his body to turn to normal, because at the end of Rebooted, he calls out for Cyrus Borg to help him gain some amount of his humanity back. And basically how this works is that he will go through intensive surgery to remove his 4 arms. And during this as well, he is given a special type of drug that keeps his evil from boiling his blood and wanting to kill everything in sight. Also during this, he kind of sort of becomes an addict when taking his medicine because he doesn't want to have even the thought cross his mind. So he overdoses from time to time, but he only does it because he just wants to keep everybody safe. So in short, he suffers a really bad case of PTSD, and the only way to do that is to take the take the pills, At any rate, Garmadon makes the ninja aware that Master Chen has captured Zane and is keeping him hostage on his island. And pretty much everything else plays out the same from the tournament elements to my series. However, it plays out more like Mortal Kombat 9's story mode, with the tournament being disbanded and everyone retaliating and fighting off against Chen for one common goal. Because while Chen is trying to steal everyone's powers, he's trying to cause an elemental Armageddon all across the world, because when one person has all of the elements, they have the power to destroy everything in sight. Also, for my version, there will be a version of Lars, the Ninja of Water, that was from that one activity booklet from way back when. And don't worry, I'll elaborate more on Lars later. But yeah, for the most part, it plays out the same with some minor key differences here and there. For one thing being is that there won't be a Curse of Morrow or anything related to the Possession season in my series for the time being, until I can figure that out. But yeah, for right now, Season 3 of my series would be Armageddon. Season 4 of my series would be titled Eclipse, with the ninja returning to Chen's island for some unfinished business, because while they did prevent elemental Armageddon from last season, Sensei Wu realized that on Chen's island was the secret location to the Sword of Life, aka the Blade of Life that created Ninjago and all of its islands surrounding it. And the only reason why the location was discovered was because with all the elemental power being kept in one place, the blade reacted to it, thus for giving away its location. Knowing the danger, the ninja decided to go back to the island only to retrieve the elemental blade before the island collapsed on itself, because the blade was concealed inside of a volcano that was about ready to burst with enough elemental power to cover not only that island, but also reach Ninjago in volcanic rain. So the ninja are now on a race against time, with Cole slowly but surely succumbing to his wounds, because while yes, there was a body swapping moment back in Rebooted like I mentioned earlier in the video, the side effects from it are now finally starting to kick in, and the excessive amount of use of his elemental powers from the tournament sort of sped up that process. So in short, Cole's powers are sort of trying to find out a reason why his body... Basically, Cole's powers are sort of rejecting his body and therefore trying to leave it, because for a short moment, he quote-unquote died and his heart wasn't beating. So when Cole regained his powers for the elemental tournament, his powers are slowly but surely rejecting his body. So while Cole's fighting off against this, they're also fighting against the clock. During this time, they do run into the last Serpentine kept alive, this being Pythor. Pythor explaining that the Serpentine weren't really ones to start war or become murderers or warriors for blood-soaked royalty. They were originally pretty docile, saying that they did not want anything to do with the first ninjutsu master or the creation of his island. explaining that the first Ninjutsu master decided to create the island that they were standing on as the homeworld for the Serpentine. The Serpentine decided to build their own civilization outside of Ninjago as a partnership, but not really wanting to deal with anything related to the humans. So, with that regard, the Serpentine were by themselves their own civilization. However, after learning of the Golden Master and the fact that the Overlord could return, the first Ninjutsu Master did take all the words into consideration, but the humans of Ninjago, or the civilians of Ninjago, if I want to be more specific and more PC about it, they did not like the Serpentine and said that they were only making this up because they just did not want to be alone and they were more seen as monsters. So that's what sparks the first Serpentine War. Not out of fear, not out of hatred, but mostly out of the fact that this guy looks funny. So in short, they were bullied into the start of war. So in short, the humans started the Serpentine War, not the Serpentine. With most of the Serpentine being eliminated in the Serpentine War, the last known tribe, the Anachondri, were short in numbers, and with a lack of a gene pool, they could not rebuild their civilization. The king of the Anachondri grew mad and almost killed Pythor and his mother, but Pythor killed the king before he could kill his mother. Both him and his mother were sick shortly afterwards, and his mother slowly passed away and succumbed to the sickness, leaving Pythor by himself to survive on his own. The ninja, heartbroken from this, decided to take Pythor underneath their wing and saying that they could help fix him by getting back the Sword of Life, because if they get the Blade of Life in their hands, they could rebuild some amount of the Serpentine army, so that way Pythor couldn't be alone anymore. This took a turn for the worse because once the ninja got their hands on the Blade of Life, they slowly found out that Chen survived the elemental Armageddon, or the cancellation of it, and they start to fight off against the ninja. Chen almost killing Cole in the process, and almost regaining control of the Blade of Life. Pythor taking the Blade of Life from Chen's hands, proving that the snake is more powerful than the human. But Pythor slowly losing his mind once he makes eye contact with the blade, or physical contact with the blade, crying out to his mother as the blade slowly erases him from history. It's here that the ninja learned that the Blade of Life was even too dangerous for even a mortal to possess, because in order for someone to wield the Blade of Life, they need to have a clear mind and a clear goal. Pythor, on the other hand, was clouded by sorrow and rage, therefore the Blade of Life rejected him, therefore erasing him from history alongside the rest of the Serpentine. At the climax of the battle, which was also going to be a movie for my series, at the climax of the battle, the Overlord was somehow revived from the Blade of Life from Pythor's hatred and sadness for the world, and therefore the ninja had to regroup, with Garmadon tagging along this time around because he had a score to settle with the Overlord. Garmadon manages to hold off the Overlord long enough for Cole to stab Overlord in the heart with his mighty blade, therefore killing him instantly and erasing him from existence, because the Blade of Life has the ability to erase and create life. In the crosshairs of this, Garmadon finally turns human because as he was holding back the Overlord, the Blade of Life not only erased the Overlord, but the hatred growing through Garmadon's veins. So Garmadon is officially back to life. However, when the smoke cleared, Cole fell over with the Blade of Life by his side, as the ninja quickly surround him, Zane scanning him, saying that all that power that he used up to kill the Overlord killed him in the process. The ninja weep and morrow for their friend, praying with the Blade of Life to not take Cole away. The Blade of Life hears their prayers and restores Cole's humanity, however, in a different way. Instead of reviving his body, it revived his soul, turning him into a ghost. And that's how Cole becomes a ghost in my series. Not from some sort of curse, was because that was his second chance in life. While the body itself was killed because of the body swapping from him and Cryptor, as well as his elemental powers rejecting him, his soul was still intact. So the Blade of Life took his soul from the cursed realm and returned it to the realm of the living. So in short, his body gave out, but his soul still remains. When the ninja return after their adventure, Lars pulls Nia to the side and explains that he did a little bit of research while they were on the bounty, explaining that both Nia and Lars are related, saying that the original Master of Water was originally Lars's mother, so therefore making them related. So in short, both Nia and Lars are both siblings to the Master of Water. However, Nia was not element sensitive at the time, because Nia hasn't really gotten to a certain point in her history where she can become element sensitive. And it is at this point that Lars agrees to give up his elemental powers to help increase her power tenfold. Because in my series, when it comes to the elemental masters, there will come a time when an elemental master grows too old, or the body grows out of shape so that way the elemental powers can no longer be used. So therefore, the elemental master has the option to pass on his powers through the bloodline, or pass on the elemental powers to a worthy subject to wield such power. So in short, Lars is willing to give up his elemental powers to help Nia succeed in life and join her brother on the battlefield. Because during the events of Armageddon, Kai and Lars aren't on the best of terms because they both sort of have a rivalry/hatred relationship. And plus, Lars didn't really want the elemental powers anymore because he felt like he didn't really deserve them, considering the fact that his mother left him at a very young age. And that's basically how Eclipse sort of wraps up the loose ends from Armageddon. Skybound for my series will be titled Rain from the Skies. And basically, for this season, the ninja would basically stumble upon the Teapot of Tyran during a day off from after their quest after quest after quest. And basically, Jay accidentally releases Nauticon, but instead of immediately trying to twist their words around or become evil right away, Nauticon educates them, saying that he hasn't been in his home realm for quite some time and says that he just wants to go home. After introducing them to Sensei Wu, Nauticon tries to kill Wu, saying that Wu was the reason why he hasn't been in his home realm. Afterwards, he travels to the first Ninjutsu Master's tomb and grabs the Realm Crystal and also grabs the Jin Blade from the Ninjago Museum, explaining that the Jin Blade was the reason why he was sealed away, because the Jin Blade was made from the same materials as the Teapot of Tyran, being able to absorb a human person and seal them away for some time. After freeing his crew from the Jin Blade, the crew returns to Ninjago only to find it in ruins and abandoned, saying that something had killed the last of the inhabitants. Assuming that the ninja were responsible for this, he returns to Ninjago in a rage, saying that he will combine both realms if necessary. However, the Realm Crystal does not have enough energy or power or have the capability to combine realms. So therefore, Nauticon decides to search for the fabled Dimension Crystal, a crystal able to combine realms and dimensions to form a new Ninjago. During this time, he picks off the ninja one by one until Jay and Nia are the only ones left. After that, everything else plays out the same. Jay forms a rebellion, Nia becomes Nauticon's wife, so on and so forth. Now, for this season, I also did have a movie planned for it as well. Basically, it would be called War Beyond Realms, and basically, it would not only have multiple realms combined together, but there will also be the introduction of both the Monkey King and Laval and Eris from the Legends of Chima Wave as well. But basically, though, after defeating Nauticon and sealing away inside of his Jin Blade and undoing the realm collision, everyone returns back to their home realm except for one red ninja that came through the dimensional portals, explaining that he was from another universe. The ninja decided to take them under his wing because the dimension crystal while it did stop everything, when Notakon was sealed away, the dimension crystal broke into multiple fragments, resulting to nothing but dust. So in short, the mysterious red ninja was is stuck in their realm until they can figure out a way to send him back to his home world. And that's basically how my series ends for the most part. Well, until I start filming for this beauty.
And there you go. That's how I'm going to be doing my story, and that's how I'm going to be covering seasons 1, 2, and 3, as well as season 4 with season 6. I really do want to cover season 5, but unfortunately I don't have the resources or the creative ability to really do a adaptation or my version of season 5, because I feel like it's already great on itself and doesn't really need to have my own interpretation of it. But overall, though, I feel like I'm satisfied enough with how I'm writing out all of my seasons, and hopefully this video gives you guys enough context on what happens from the beginning here all the way to the current point where I want to do all of my stories. Now, concerning from that point onwards, yes, I will be doing the March of the Oni. I won't be doing SOG because I feel like Garmadon Shadow is technically sort of my version of Sons of Garmadon from the first season. So yeah, that's basically sort of how I want to write things. I do want to do, like I mentioned earlier, I do want to do March of the Oni. I do want to do Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu, despite it being so convoluted and flawed. I'm only going to be doing the Fire chapter, though, from that season, because out of all the seasons that I've written currently, they're mostly supporting Lloyd, Zane, Jay, and Cole. I haven't written anything for Kai or Nia yet as their own solo seasons. So for season 7 of my for season 7 of my series, I'm going to make it specifically based on Kai for the Fire chapter. And in terms of other seasons that have yet to be written, I have something in the air for Prime Empire titled Game Over, but I don't really know how to execute it, and I have a feeling I won't be able to execute it because I feel like it's not really worth making its own custom season based on it for, because I feel like the direction that I'm going with the season that I'm going to be making past Skybound here, I feel like you guys are gonna pretty much enjoy it for what it's worth, and I feel like you won't really need to see Game Over, in my opinion. But who knows? If you guys really do want to see me adapt Prime Empire in my vision, feel free to leave a comment below, and I might be able to work something out between the show that I'm gonna be doing. But yeah, other than that, though, that's pretty much it. All I wanted to talk about. In terms of the first episode that I'm writing, I will complete it. I do feel like I should post it. I feel like I should give you guys some sort of reward for waiting this long and being patient with me, despite me delaying this for so long. I feel like you guys do deserve to at least see what I had written for the first episode before I just completely skip over the timeline and just go straight into my new season, past season 6, aka Skybound, for my end. But yeah, overall, though, thank you guys for your time, and thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to watch more content, feel free to subscribe to me on my main channel, Ghost and Green 1290, where there'll be a new upload every week, or once a week, depending on the time I get for it. But yeah, overall, though, thank you guys so much for watching and taking your time with me. And this is Ghost and Green 1290, signing out. And I'll see you guys next time.